sessions, shall we? And so, don't forget for the certificates for the presenter. Every presenter, you can get your certificates and download your certificates through the system of the RSU conference after today. I think within a week. Okay, so and your proceeding will be uploaded into the website as well. And so for the in the afternoon session, so are you excited? Are you excited? So we're gonna have 3 keynote speakers here in our sessions. So I'd like to say welcome to another group of participants, new participants from biomedical engineering and everyone who interested in our sessions. And okay, I remind you, okay, I'm Atanan. Okay, so I'm your moderators and your hosts. And for these sessions, I have to introduce another chairman. First, Assoc.Prof.Dr.Suejit Pechprasarn from College of Biomedical Engineering, Swansea University. Okay, let's do it. Okay, say hi to everyone. And Major Dr. Piyani Siyaya from Department of Anatomy, Academic Affairs Divisions, พระมงกุฎเกล้า College of Medicine สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ อาจารย์อยู่กับเราตลอดเวลาตั้งแต่เช้านะคะ Okay, so say hi. So well, before we start the talks from our speaker, could you please turn on your camera again? And we're gonna take a photo together. Okay. ทุกคนค่ะเดี๋ยวขอให้ช่วยเปิดไมค์สักนิดช่วยเปิดกล้องสักนิดนึงนะคะเพื่อที่จะถ่ายรูปร่วมกันนะคะ So please turn on your camera and we're gonna take photo together. Are you ready? Okay, just 1 minute. Okay, Shanisa, please turn on your camera. Okay, cheese. All right, okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That's it. Thank you. And so today we will have 3 talks as you see in the schedule. And the first talk is belong to Associate Professor Dr. Suejit from our faculties, College of Biomedical Engineering of Swansea University. He is Associate Professor in Physics and Associate Dean Emeritus of the BME College. He completed his PhD at the Institute of Biophysics, Imaging, and Optical Science from University of Nottingham in UK. His research is based on optics in theoretical and practical knowledge, and his experience has lots of more than 10 years, I think, in optics and photonics, ultrasonics detections, and also in chemical biology. In every field, I think he's a special one. And so he also the computer engineering computer engineer as well. So he has 1,000 skills. So his topics that he's gonna talk today is a future perspective of artificial intelligence technology, smart hospitals, and healthcare technologies. Please give a big hand for him. Okay, Professor Suejit, are you ready to give our talk?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, of course.
Can you see my screen? Everything's fine, right?
Of course.
Okay, cool. And Chairman, please do not hesitate to interrupt me or stop me if I go over my time. Okay.
Okay.
Please feel free to do. Right. Today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of like predict like what can be a future of AI technology, what we should be seeing, and that is really my prediction. Okay. Right. The topics of the talk today are, firstly, I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to tell you what is AI, its limitations, and key milestones in medical AI history. So what have been done, and what sort of software package that is available that you can buy it to use it in your healthcare services. And as I said, I'm going to predict the future, and I have to disclaim, like, this is purely my personal view. You might see it differently, but you are more than welcome to discuss. And finally, conclusion, of course. Right, what is AI? If you Google it on a dictionary, it will come up with this definition: artificial intelligence. The meaning is the theory and development of computer system able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. Okay, such as virtual perception, speech recognition, and translation between languages. Right, if I highlighted the definitions, you're going to see two major components in it. The first component is, firstly, development of computer systems. That is the first one highlighted here. So the computer system that need to be able to somehow develop. Okay. Secondly, it needs to perform tasks that normally require intelligence. So you might have to think now, what do you normally use your intelligence for? Like what sort of tasks and application? So let me ask you the first question. How can computer systems develop themselves? So how can it be developed? I would say in AI, computer system learns. Wow, it learns. And in the technical terms, we use training for it. So learns literally mean training in computer engineering language. And what does it learn? It learns from information. Information in computer science, we call data. So really, if you like, a computer reading books, reading information. So it learns in similar manner to the way we learn. And the second question is, what do you normally use your intelligence for? Okay, answer to this is, actually there are two types of tasks that we normally use our intelligence. The first one is called dialect problem. If I ask you, what is 2 plus 6? You will then say 8. How can you answer me? Because you know the rules, right? Basically, you have the model 2 plus 6. And if you know the rules, all the rules relevant to addition, you should be able to predict the results, which is 8. But if I ask you for something more complicated, like integral of sine times cosine by d theta, whatsoever, you know, really long equation, you might not be able to tell me, right? Because you wouldn't know the regulations. So that is direct problem. And people used it to play chess, play cards. You know, people say no one can beat AI in sort of chess and cards competition. And another type of problem is called inverse problem. And this is sort of the problem that people nowadays interested in. So it's like when you get sick, you see a doctor. Doctor will use his loose and set up knowledge that he obtained it during his years in the medical school to estimate the parameter So you go to see doctor with high body temperature, fever, cough, and high body temperature and vomiting, that sort of symptoms. And doctor predicted like, oh, you get a fever. So that fever is the estimation of parameter. And of course, the second one is more like the modern trend of the research that people doing at the moment. Okay. So let me talk a bit about limitations of AI. So AI only works for a well-defined problem. So when you train AI for a specific task, like you train AI for reading chest X-ray images. That particular AI wouldn't work for CT scans, wouldn't work for something else that they never see. So it only works for a well-defined problem. Secondly, AI requires a large amount of good quality data. So poor quality data can really untrain the AI. So that you have to prepare good quality data, and it requires a large amount of data storage and computing power. So that is another things that you have to bear in mind if you want to use AI. And AI requires a considerable amount of time for labeling images. Like, for example, if you have 100,000 X-ray images, you might have to ask doctor to provide you with the labels, like what sort of diseases can be, what sort of symptoms that each particular theme has. So it's going to take time, and it's really label intensive. Okay, and the 5 is very funny though. It requires ground truth and ground relationship. Okay, let me give you an example. If you do some AI without any ground truth, like in Thailand, this month is what's it? Summer, isn't it? Okay, so in summer, people tends to eat more ice cream. Okay, and also in summer, we seem to have more cases of rabies. Okay, if you make a statistical relationship between ice cream and rabies, someone might come up with the relationship as consuming ice cream, increasing the number of rabies. But surely that's not true, isn't it? It doesn't have any ground truth. So to do AI, you need a ground truth. Number 6, ethical issue. So in terms of using real medical records, data for medical records, we have to ensure we have removed the patient names, address, and any sensitive data, so that engineers and people who train the AI wouldn't know where they're from and who were they. So that is very sensitive, and it might be illegal to disclose such information. And AI is very automatic, and it does really come with fear, because people say AI is literally a black box model. It's really a black box. Why? This is what happened in terms of calculation inside a convolutional neural network. It is a type of neural network for AI that people normally use. Okay, so look, this is what's going on inside the AI. So each different layer, the way it's behaved, it's over the imagination of what man can imagine in terms of mathematical representation. Okay, so this is a type of flowers, 6 types of flowers. So this is example that I normally use when I teach AI in at Rangsit University. So you will see this is what really happened inside the AI, the way it thinks. Okay, and let me talk about the key milestones in medical AI. So in 6 November 2017, very recent, and AI in China has passed the national medical license exam. Oh, interesting, isn't it? You have, it's probably not for rounding the ward, okay? It's just probably for grading patients in front of the hospital to reduce the number of queue, okay? And in, again, 2017, there is a chest X-ray AI that can diagnose 14 symptoms, okay? That actually more accurate than an actual radiologists, very skillful radiologists. So this is indicating that AI can do it more accurately. And again, in 2017, in the US, people in the US have clear regulation of how to deal with the AI technology and come up with the law that allow you to acquire a pre-certificate and then allow you to file the FDA, FDA clearance. Okay, so because of all these happening, AI healthcare companies were booming in the US since that time. So we're talking about a lot of companies that doing AI. So in probably almost all the sectors that you can think of in healthcare services. Okay, so as I said, there's a lot of companies, isn't there? So I cannot really review every single project, but I'll only cover the ones that I think will be interesting to see. Okay, so if I separate the application based on what is it facing, right? I can make it into 4 main categories. So the AI that for medical practitioners like doctors, nurses, PT, the physical therapists, you know, everyone that facing the hospital end, I would say. And we have the medical record management to analyze medical data. Okay, like blood pressure, what sort of symptoms that it can lead to, or medical image diagnosis. And we see this a lot, right? In our recent years, we see a lot of application based on these, like reading images, CT scan, X-ray images, microscope images. We see a lot of these, and resource management. And during this COVID-19 pandemic, this is very crucial to manage resources, right? Especially ventilators, beds. You know, it's very difficult to find a hospital bed to take patients in. So AI can play a role here as well. And the other end, facing patients. So you can have AI that give an advice to patients, automatic advice, you know, web-based, application-based, and IoT. IoT stands for Internet of Things, okay? And smart devices. Nowadays, people have it, right? Smart watch. You use the watch to track your blood pressure, your pulse rate, your SpO2, okay? And it's also to analyze the genetic diseases, mental health care, women's health care, to predict when would you have the next menstruation, when can you expect a baby if you have activity. Skincare and beauty. So this towards the patients that people have used. This all has been done, all these. And research and development. People use AI for genetic research. People use AI in clinical trial database, like what sort of clinical trial has been done, you know, and we see this a lot in this COVID-19 pandemic, right? We see in the databases for different type of vaccines that are available, and drug discovery and development as well. And the next modern trend is teleconsultation. So you can talk to doctors, you can talk to experts in different fields. And nowadays there is even more advanced in terms of telesurgery. The actual the doctor who do surgery might be even far away in some other country, and you can use robot to mimic the movement of the doctor, and lifestyle management to reduce the, actually I use it a lot now to manage my weight, you know, how many exercise, how many times of exercise that I would need, right? And the last one, disease control, and this is very important, and you see it a lot now, right, in for COVID-19. Okay, so let me give you an example. This is an article in Nature. So people have used AI to fix wrong medical record. People use AI to fix the record that might be wrong. Okay, and a lot of application on correcting the medical records using AI, using deep learning. So a number of research papers have been published on this subject. And this is one of my work. I use AI to predict the blood pressure. If you like do exercise, and what sort of exercise will help you, you know, that sort of thing. Okay, and in this conference, my students will talk about these AI for chest X-ray film reading. They try to detect pneumonia from X-ray film. So my student will talk about it, and people interested in AI, a lot of application to read medical images, and even some companies, well-known companies like Siemens, they have included AI reading system in their X-ray machine. So apart from taking X-ray images, the X-ray machine itself will provide the primary diagnosis. But there is a trade-off and drawback for that, which I'll mention about it shortly. So in the near future, this is how it's going to look like, I think. Let me go back to nomenclature. So you have AI. This is endoscopic. So you sort of, doctor will use the endoscope and put it into your intestine whatsoever. And this is an AI automatic system will label what sort of region that doctor should pay attention. Okay. Whereas if we compare to the old-fashioned endoscope, doctor would really focus and paying a lot of attention to see whether is there any abnormalities in any area. So this is how it looked like. This is AI based. This is this AI based technology. This is non-AI based, the old-fashioned one. So AI can now today manage the patient beds, resources of the hospital, optimize. You know, it even takes nurses that this patient is ready to be discharged, and this patient should be going to another ward, you know, another unit. So you can use this to manage the resources. Okay, and this is quite interesting website. I suggest it to, if you have time, you can try it. It's called Boy Health. Okay, it's a chatbot, a chat robot that you can talk to the robot, and it will ask you and predict what sort of symptoms that you're having, right? And in Thailand, we do have it as well. This is an application called Raksa, okay? And this is IoT-based technology, and you can connect to doctor, okay, that relevant to your symptoms, okay? You can have a chat or even a video call with doctor. This is telemedicine type. And once everything is done in the conversation, if doctor mentioned about any medicine, it will just go directly to pharmacy shop, and it should be able to deliver the medicine to you within an hour if you live in Bangkok. Okay, what lies ahead? This is my personal view. And what do some people think? This is from a research article. This is what they think. I highlighted the sentences that I want you to be able to catch. So if you are on the cusp of AI system that can remotely identify a person about to get sick, make a decision, make a diagnosis. So no doctor needed, and select a custom AI decided pharmaceutical and deliver it to the patients just in time, and or even you have AI powered self-driving car that take you to hospital. So fully automated, no doctor required. I would even say no single people required it in this system. And of course, it's 24/7 service, and it's provide you remote diagnosis. This is how people see the future. So this is my view. This is my personal view. And will doctors, medical practitioners be replaced by AI? To me, no, not yet. No, due to the limitations of AI, I think. AI cannot yet replace doctors, medical practitioners, because AI, when you train AI, you train it for only a specific task. Like you train it for reading chest X-ray, it wouldn't be able to understand something else. So how can it be as clever as doctors, medical practitioners? No way. So it only learns for a specific task. And not only that, AI cannot communicate, cannot consult other AIs, and it cannot have complex thinking. Humans, we are humans, we can do very complex thinking easily, and sometimes we might be even overthink, okay? And of course, when we are in doubt, we ask, but AI, when they're in doubt, they just provide you numbers, okay? It's totally different. And there is an interesting prediction by the 3 key research groups in AI. They predicted that AI will talk to each other. Like if you put in an image, AI will do firstly visual perception to see what sort of things that happen in containing inside the image, and then they have the language interpretation, so they can then generate languages, so they communicate. They believe that in the future it will look like this, and that will be good. They're cool, but we're not there yet. And secondly, AI has no empathy. The healthcare itself is actually built based on the empathy, isn't it? We're there because we care for others, right? All the healthcare workers, healthcare people, we care for others. That's why we're there, right? But AI has no empathies. But recently, very recent as well, researchers have been working on AI that learns emotions. Very interesting concept of the new AI. But as I said, we're not there yet. And doctors and medical practitioners are likely to benefit from AI. So reducing the amount of time spent on time-consuming tasks, repetitive tasks such as finding tumor regions under a microscope. You need doctors like moving slices and find whether there are any tumor regions. This is very time-consuming, seriously. And reading X-rays. So all these boring tasks will be no longer for doctors. It should now be done by AI and computer systems. And doctors, because they have less tasks for boring jobs, right? They can focus more time on the more demanding skill, I would say, such as design, actual planning and actual treatment. Okay, seriously, if I ask you, where do you want your doctor to be, with you or in front of the computer? To me, myself, I would like my doctor to explain everything to me like this, rather than typing in a computer, spend lots of time and talk to me for 1 minute. Okay, so I think that AI would come in and help. And doctors and medical practitioners will now have a second opinion from AI. And this is my view again. AI should be second opinion only, never the first. So it should be only the second. Okay, and it might even should only highlight some regions in medical images or highlight some parameters without actually giving any suggestion on diagnosis. Why? The reason is it might give a misleading information. As I said, AI has been trained on a specific task. Okay, this is a funny cartoon. If you want second opinion, I'll ask my computer, should doctor do this in front of a patient? I don't know. This is a future.
Sorry,
think.
Professor Suejit.
Yep.
Time's fly. So.
Okay, I'll conclude it very quickly. Okay, wouldn't take long.
Thanks so much. Then.
Okay, so 24/7 service. Lots of hospitals still use pen and paper. Okay, so they need infrastructure upgrade. They need to invest a lot of money to buy equipment. Okay, and another thing is they have to integrate it with the existing workflow. So this is the existing workflow of a hospital. How would you integrate it in AI? How can you do it? You need to think. And to work with AI, of course, people need to be trained. And there will be a bigger technological gap between hospitals that use AI and old-fashioned hospitals. So there will be a bigger technological gap that will be leading to another problem. And first mover of AI, is it a good thing to do in healthcare? No, not for healthcare, probably good for mobile phone, but not for healthcare. Healthcare is really safety first. So it requires new laws, regulation to legalize the AI healthcare. And also nowadays, medical schools started to offer AI courses to medical students. This is a good sign for technological transform. Like nowadays, people have dual degree in MD and biomedical engineering. So in the future, doctor need to learn how to understand AI and probably how it works. And we work closely with biomedical engineers to build AI. Okay, AI will be better and patients will benefit from it. Okay, and if you can understand how AI thinks, we'll be more intelligent, I think. And optimize AI can be used to optimize and utilize the limited healthcare resources, and leading to that's for all we're doing all these things, of course, for patients. We can then provide better healthcare services for patients. And conclusion. So I have covered all these topics and hope you enjoy my talk, and that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. That's quite interesting.
Okay, ค่ะเชิญอาจารย์ปียนีค่ะ
I left the question in the box. How can I learn to have the empathy? Dr. Suejit, can you tell me more about the empathy?
The thing is, if like this is decision, right? They have patients that come with this sort of symptoms, and if in the case they have no empathy, what would be the decision? If the doctor have empathy, what would be this decision? So they seem to trend it with the second option rather than the best optimized resources option. You see what I mean? So they seem to like overuse resources a bit for that. Okay.
Okay. At the beginning slide, you have the abbreviation of FDA. What is the FDA mean? What does
Food
it mean?
and Drug. Or your Food and Drug Administration.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
That's quite interesting topic though. Thank you, speaker. Thank you, Dr. Suejit.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any questions from audience, from another participants? Hi, everyone. Are you still there? So if there are any questions, could you please leave in the chat room? So we're gonna move forward to another speaker. Thank you, Professor Suejit Pechprasarn again, for giving the wonderful,